Okay, the purpose of that exercise, and the reason that it's available to you if you choose to use it on a course, is to get people, coaches, closer to putting their players in the 3 stages of development, so they've just got a bit of an idea. Now, of course, if you're working with the under-13s or whatever, you're going to have players that might stretch and span all 3 of the stages of player development. However, it gets them familiar with the different language. I will apologise for the language, but I won't at the same time, because you need to name them in some way. You need to name those environments, and that's how we're looking at the stages of player development. What has it replaced ostensibly that we've kind of sort of used in cricket, but not very much? Yeah, long-term athlete development. So fundamentals, learn to train, cricket, etc. It's replaced those, and we'd like to think it's a little bit more cricket specific, but a little bit more underpinned by some clear research and backed up. And ostensibly you're kind of looking pre-adolescence, adolescence and post, and then a little bit further on after that. So that's the purpose of the exercise. It's always good for a room full of tutors and a room full of passionate coaches to sit down and do that exercise as well. And there was some interesting debates that sparked out as a result of that. It's a fascinating thing to try and do, and I think it's why it's actually quite good to map it against the age and stage of player development, as opposed to just look quite coldly and bluntly at the player pattern. But ostensibly that's what we're doing. So Hugh Tomlin started a piece of work about 4 years ago, where he tried to identify all the different areas, domains, as you've done, where we find a group of players. And then when he had that, he said, right, out of these 33 for each one, I'm going to say what they need technically, tactically, physically, mentally, and in their lifestyle. And I'm going to say what they need batting, bowling, fielding, and wicket keeping. You can probably split bowling up in many ways, it's supposed to split. He did that to specific detail for each of the 33 player domains. That was a piece of work we had 4 years ago. Come in and stand it on the table, and we, as a coach education department, we said, what the bloody hell are we going to do with that? We're not going to invent 33 new courses, and that was the start of the thought process and where we're getting to. But also that coaches can get better. Coaches can get better at the environment they're working in. So a level 3 doesn't mean a hierarchy. It might be much better at what you're doing. A top coach in your area. Not going to share those 33 player domains with you, but I tell you what, they won't be a great deal dissimilar from what you've got here. We're not going to dig down to the detail of specifically what the players need underneath them, but that has shaped what you're looking at in quite the simplest form there. And that has shaped the direction of the coaching children, i.e. pre-adolescents, and coaching young people in adults courses, i.e. adolescent and post-adolescent. Because actually there's a significant change that happens during that period of their life. Okay, how are we going to best do this? I'll tell you what, because you've properly done the exercise, which not every table usually does, which is fantastic. Just have a little look at everyone else's, just do that. That's quite an interesting thing to do. You're all going bottom left to top right, right? There's no Chinese in the room. Going the other way around.